Purgatory. Right then, Purgatory. Okay, so Purgatory. Okay, so TDM is always going to be about the weapons that you hold and the amount of stack that you have. So these are the two main considerations when you're thinking about anything in TDM. When it just comes to you, of course, you always have to consider your team and the team's goals as well. And sometimes those considerations can override your overall objective and your tactical response. But in this case, we're just going to talk about how weapons and stack influences things just for you, because that's more or less what things are like in TDM pickups. So then, the spots you're talking about are always going to change. So, okay, I'll fix it. God damn it. It's because sometimes if it switches... there we go, it should be working. Right, so... so yeah, it will always change based on your weapon. That's something you got to think about. So Railgun. With a Railgun, what is the most shitty thing that happens? It's when someone catches you really, really close range. That is something you do not want to happen. So you want to find good spots for rails. I mean... This is debatably a good spot. The problem with this is, I mean, this can be great for rail because you got, you know, everything to sustain you, health, armor, even the rail ammo is over there, it's not so far away, and you got shotgun, you know, good vantage point on a lot of the map. You can swing back around to the other side of the map as well and also rail ammo, and you can pressure into red like this. That's really nice. You know, what's not to like about that? There is one downside of that, is that it's you can tend to be too passive. So your team is losing red, they're losing megas, they're getting kind of wrecked on that side of the map whilst you sit here raining things. Although it is this very safe place to rail from. So, you know, there are people that like to do that, and it can work out quite well if you're hitting your shots. And if you're, I think this is good if your team is doing well in control already. This is not something to do when your team is really struggling with the major parts of the map. But that's one good spot for the rail. Of course, another great spot for the rail is up top here. I mean, you have to use sound cues very well because you need to assess whether or not a threat is coming. Because you cannot be close range, especially not in corridors like this. But you have the ability to rail in to all these angles. You have the ability to, you know, rail in onto the red. And again, this is another great angle to rail into. So generally, there's lots of nice spots on this map for the rail. Generally speaking, though, you definitely have to be very careful that you don't get too caught out by people with strong close range weapons. More or less any weapon, because if you miss a rail, you can just die, and dropping a rail is not good. So rails is probably the most difficult one. When it comes to spots for, let's say you spawn around here, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna get the, or actually, in fact, you can spawn on the rocket launcher. So we're thinking about rocket launcher. What makes the rocket launcher easy? Easy rocket launcher shots are ones that are close range in corridors, where you can use splash, and even if you miss the shot, you get some damage. So you're looking for, you know, nice corridor shots. You don't want to drop down like this. Unless you're dropping onto the red, you don't want to do that, because now you're in a situation where it's very hard to hit rockets. You're in a very open space. You're constantly taking damage from even people with machine gun, and weapons like the Railgun are now a problem. Weapons like the LG are now a problem. Even the shotgun, everything becomes a problem. If you stay, you know, up top, you're in a good spot because you can shoot your rockets. You can back away around corners. You can use the architecture of the map very effectively to help yourself. So that's generally a good rule of thumb with the rockets. Of course, you can really analyze the start spawns on this map, and there's a bunch of ways to play it. I can go for a couple of spots with that in a second. But you know, definitely spots like this where you're keeping the range close are great for rockets. If that is your kind of primary weapon. You know, when it comes to shotgun, the same principles largely apply. Shotgun, though, is a weapon you can really, you know, the thing with a shotgun is that if you give away a shotgun, it's not the end of the world, and if you're able to hit good shots close range, it can really help you push onto some items. So if this red armor is, you know, spawning, it's a really good weapon to go into this room with, because from this range you're doing a lot of damage to anyone that you're shooting at. And unlike the rocket launcher, where you can miss a shot and do no damage, if you're you know, really getting a shot on here, you're gonna get some damage. You're always gonna be getting damage. So what is that? I think that's where is? Oh, okay, that's the pickup. So I'll ramble on a little bit more and join the pickup once they have the server. Okay. So that's the thing. And again, this is TDM. If you just want to break it down and think about it, like for example, if you've got an LG and a red or something like that, you got to be thinking, okay, LG is good in open spaces. This is a really open space. You want, if it's just an LG, you want to hopefully find another weapon, because LG is really good at dealing damage, but it runs out of ammunition quickly. So you want to keep to the open spaces. Try to avoid. You don't want to be going deep into positions like this unless you know it's safe. You need to know this is safe before you push it from like over here. And you know, you can go over here, get some good spots. All the open spaces suddenly become really good for you damage wise. So that's really good to bear in mind. Generally speaking, that's TDM for you. I mean, there are of course larger objectives at play. For example, you know, you do want to be swinging in onto the red, and sometimes you're going to find yourself with just a rail, and you're going to, or even, you know, a rocket launcher or whatever, and you're going to find yourself in an awkward spot, because you've got to be in the awkward spots to help your teammates, because your teammates help make fights easier. So you can use the teammates to help find the red and help find the mega. If you just want to play like a solo style, what I would advise, which is quite nice to do on this map, is try to run megas. Like pick up a mega, it's 35 seconds, time it. You know, you got armor here, you can swim around, you've always got the plasma, you can keep it low. Try to do a cycle on the mega and try to time the rail as well. And see if you can do a cycle on the mega and the rail. That's a very effective solo role on this map that can be very impactful for your team in a very good way. And you'll end up, like if you just do that a lot, you'll end up having a lot of fights, and you'll end up having games where some games, you know, no one really challenges you for the mega, and some games lots of people will challenge you. So you'll get to learn this route in this fight very well. These fights because the fights that you're going to have are going to be, you'll start to get routine. You'll be like, oh, I've had this fight before. You know, I've had the fight at mega with a shotgun. Okay, I know better ways to dodge this. You know, or I know better ways to use the rockets or the plasma here. Or, you know, it's a similar thing when you get around to here. You're like, all right, well, I've had a lot of fights over here. I understand a bit better now how people dodge, and I understand a bit better the kinds of you know, things to expect, how much damage to expect that I will receive. And so, you know, you can sweep around the rail, and you don't have to go up here, but it can be nice once you've successfully done that to bring yourself back up top here and then try to control the area here, because this is a very key area, this grenade area. And the reason it's key, I mean, you don't want to be standing, you know, just around here with no objective. You want to be thinking about this choke point, because although it's quite a wide corridor, it's still a choke point, and this is like a really nice little nook in the corner here, which is very useful when you're trying to defend it. Of course, again, if you have a rail, you know, you can use it quite well there, and also it gives you position for the next mega that's going to spawn, which is the next item, funnily enough, you know, that you're going to be thinking about. You're thinking about mega and rail. You're supporting red. You don't want to go in there for it. You want to support it. You want to keep your game as limited as possible when it comes to the situations you put yourself in, because that way you always are familiar with what you're doing. So this area is very good, because often when a team's lost red, or when a team is kind of struggling, they're going to try to push in. They're going to get the yellows and the rockets and stuff. Maybe they'll spawn lower and come through the telly. They're not going to go this way. They're going to go this way most often, and so you can get a lot of very good damage in here. It's a very nice spot. So that's something to consider, and that is the role I would advise. And a quick note, because I need to join the server. People are there? Is there even a server yet? Okay, I guess not yet. Okay, so a good thing is if you ever end up spawning rocket launcher at the very start of a purgatory, what you need to think about is maintaining your stack, because all the items are gone. People aren't really rushing around trying to find themselves the weapons and whatnot. What they're thinking about is power-ups. You need to be doing the same. So you grab this, you get the yellow. That's great. Okay, you need to take a position now so that if anyone attacks you, or like think about the most likely angles or avenues of attack onto your position. It's probably from here or from here, and you want to take a good spot and to deal with that. I mean, I think this spot is really good because, you know, you can get a very good shot here onto the guy who's completely unknown. You can react to him, but if the guy's there, you can also react to them, and you know, get a jump, rocket, and get yourself up. It's not the best fight in the world, but it's pretty good. And your main objective is to preserve the stack. And if the battle suit doesn't spawn immediately, he might get a chance to get a second yellow before definitely going for that battle suit, and then you'll be pretty stacked for that. And the people with the mega and the quads most likely are going to go for this quad, and that's just how people react these days, and will have always reacted. So you're probably a shoo-in for this battle suit most of the time. Likewise, the same principle does apply if you spawn the LG. Because if you spawn the LG, you get LG and you get red. So again, think about preserving the stack. You can go around this way, try to lend a hand, and then swing back on here for battlesuit if you really want to. This is the safest option. I like to go for this one quite often. Or you can be a bit more aggressive, and you can this always depends on what information your team's giving you. You can instead decide to push up around for the quad push, and this is a great place to do it, and a good way to come around to do it. The reason being is because the rail has been taken, and everyone at the start of the game knows when the rail is going to be. They're not going to come around this way. There's not going to be much traffic here. So what's going to happen is you're going to move up here. Pretty much no players unless they've spawned on top of you, which is annoying, but it happens. And then you come around here, no one's going to have taken this ammo box. So you're going to swing down for the ammo box, and you've got a really sick engage for all the people who are in this room fighting you. So that's the other option. There is another one as well. You can of course try to play for the second red, and then gamble on the power up. And that's really the thing with this that's kind of annoying in TDM, is that you're always having to gamble at the start of the game because it's random between 30 seconds and 1 minute for the power up to spawn. So that range is very annoying. So you can just play and go around, try to get some damage off, play it by ear, listen to your team, then come back to get the second red LG. That is also a very, very strong option because the red LG is arguably one of the best, it's probably the best spawn in the game, to be honest. You get the really powerful weapon, and you get a really powerful armor. I mean, what's not to like about that? So there's probably arguments that you should just stay with the LG red. And if your team, I think theoretically, thinking about it, the best way to do this is if you get this spawn, you communicate it to your team, and you tell your team to focus on one power up. That way you can always get the second red and be in time for the power up to be taken. And if they're focusing on battlesuit, that's better because battlesuit is less focused on at the start of the game. And if you're rolling in here with 200 armor, LG, your teammate drops you a rocket launcher, you swing on up here with the LG, the quad guy can't do shit to you. You're getting the next red, or the next mega most likely. So that's some extra just theory crafting there that I did, but there's some purgatory theory for you. Any questions at all? Or okay, this is an IP now.